Hey guys, as it's Valentine's Day, I thought I'd make a Valentine's meal and a Valentine's dessert. I'm going to do the dessert first, and then I will prep the stuff for the main meal, and I'll go through it as I go. If you hear digging noises, please excuse it. It's outside, they're digging up the road again. I have all the ingredients here, and unfortunately some of them are already measured out, because as I started recording, it all kicked off outside with people shouting and screaming, so I had to cancel the recording. So I have in fact already prepped some of the ingredients. So you need, for this chocolate brownie, you need all-purpose flour or self-raising flour. You need 1 1/4 cups. You need butter, which is 1 cup. White sugar, 2 cups of white sugar, 2 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 cup of mashed bananas, about 3 bananas, so I've got the bananas there, I'll do those in a minute, 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, and 1 1/2 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and, well, it says chocolate chips, but I haven't got chocolate chips, I've just got a normal bar of chocolate. So we're going to make a start. I forgot to get the pan out, 1 second. Okay, let's get the pan out, because you need to, I believe you need to melt the sugar and, not the sugar, whoops. I actually had the vanilla extract measured out in that teaspoon and I just threw it everywhere. I forgot it was in there. It's okay, just quick clean up and get it off my phone screen. There we go, we'll just remeasure that, that's not a problem. Let's do the bananas first, because you need to mash 3 browning bananas. Yeah. But as you can see, I started opening the bananas and then, like I said, it all kicked off. So, I'll just finish doing the bananas. Oops. Hello, Mr. Train. Well, they might be browning, but the skin is still hard to peel off. So they put the skins into the sink for now, and I'll get rid of them later. There we go. 3 bananas. It's going to get loud now because I'm going to use the hand mixer. You need to mix them until they're smooth paste, basically. Okay, loud noise. Do it on a pulsing setting so it doesn't just spray up everywhere. If it's a bit looser, I'll then keep it on a bit longer. Okay. So once it's all blended together, it'll be like this. There we go. So we've got the bananas here now as well. And then you have the cocoa powder, which we'll add in a bit. So let's have a look how we do this now in a minute. So it says preheat the oven to 180, that's already on. In a large bowl, melt together the butter and sugar. Large bowl? I don't have a large bowl, so I'm going to have to do it directly in the pan, I think. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it directly in the pan. Which means I'm going to have to move all of this stuff to the worktop next to us. So if we do that on a low heat, because the only bowl I could have put over the top of that is the blue bowl I have the bananas in. Let's put those. I'm hitting everything everywhere. Okay, so we're gonna. So what was it? In a very large bowl, melt together the butter and sugar. You can do this in the microwave in 45 seconds interval, stirring between each, or using a double boiler. Strange. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you're only melting it together, there's no reason you can't do it on the stove. So melt together the butter and the sugar. Because luckily this is the pan I use for making fudge, so I know it can take the heat of melting stuff together. So you're going to do the let the mixture cool slightly, then whisk in the eggs. Okay. So melt it all together. I would say if you're doing it this way, make sure to keep your eye on it because it can go over otherwise. Right, I'd say do it until it looks like, basically like scrambled egg mix. Then leave to cool for a bit. You can either do this and let it cool, then whisk in the eggs and vanilla extract. It's important to let the butter cool slightly before adding in the eggs, otherwise hot butter can scramble the eggs. Yes, obviously. So we leave it to the side and let it cool down a bit. And at the same time then, we're going to skip ahead a second on this one. Because then stir in the mashed bananas. Always use brown, spotty bananas, bacon yellow. Add the flour cocoa and then whisk until smooth. Okay. Stir in the chocolate chips. Okay, like I said though, I don't have to. So while we let that cool, we're going to break this. I'll show you the back of the packaging. Don't want to show the front to get in trouble. But it's mint flavoured. So I'm just going to break it up into big pieces because I'd like it to have big chunks in it. It's gone soft because of the heat of the kitchen. Yeah, it'll look like that then once it's all broken up. So if I just break this up a little more outside of the packaging, I'll get perfect chunks then. There we go, break it up nicely, stick it into a bowl. There we go. Get rid of the packaging. Okay, so the eggs, we gotta... Did it say whisk in the eggs? It did say whisk in the eggs, didn't it? It did say whisk in the eggs. Okay, so take that out of there a minute and put it back in that bowl. And we grab our whisk from the unit with there. What I want to do though is transfer this into a bowl now so as I don't end up damaging my non-stick coating on here. You can turn that off now. Put it back on there a minute. So I need to put this down and get the spoon, because I don't want to use metal objects inside a non-stick pan. And we make sure we get all of the sugar and the butter out. There we go. Put that over here. Oh! Nearly dropped it all. Right, that's the whisk. Come off. Right. Excuse me. Eggy's got to go in. Sorry, so it says, as Mexico style, the egg in the whisk and the vanilla. Whisk in the eggs and the vanilla extract. Okay. So there's one egg. There's the second egg. And then we want 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm going to have to re-pour because I accidentally threw mine all over the kitchen worktop. So 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Like that. We've got to whisk that in like this. And then it says, then stir in the mashed bananas. Just add the bananas to it. Okay. Always use brown spice bananas. Okay, add in the flour, cocoa and salt. Okay, so there goes the flour. Now, what did it say about the cocoa powder again? Well, I know that it was a teaspoon of salt, which I know because I've been using this for years, is 3 turns of the 1, 2, 3. 3 turns of the salt mill, because I always use sea salt because it's healthier. Now, add the flour and then whisk until smooth. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to find out how much cocoa powder was supposed to be in there. 3/4 of a cup. Well, that's 1 cup there, so I need to take it 3/4 of the way up the cup. So that's 3/4 of a cup. And then we mix it in. Is that what I said? Yes. Okay, so it says here, add the flour, cocoa powder, then whisk until smooth. If you notice the cocoa is lumpy, then be sure to sift it first to avoid lumps. Well, this isn't lumpy because this is the lighter one, so it's not lumpy. It says whisk until smooth, but I think I'll use my spoon. I find the spoon easier to use than the whisk. I'm going to put more power behind it with the whisk. With the spoon, I mean. There we go, see? Easier to use the spoon and quicker. There we go. Make sure I get all of that powder from around the edge. Right. Stir in the chocolate chips. Well, I don't have chocolate chips. I have full-on mint chocolate. So it's probably not going to turn out the way it's supposed to because I've changed the ingredient just slightly. But only because I didn't get chocolate chips. I didn't realise I needed chocolate chips. But I think this will be nice. It'll add a little minty flavour to it as well. Okay. Pour the batter into the prepared tin and bake in a preheated oven. The brownies will take about 35 minutes or until the top looks set, and inserted toothpick comes out clean with a few damp crumbs. Okay, make sure all those chocolate bits are right in there now. Okay, so the prepared tin I chose is this one. You are supposed to use a square one, but this is as square a tin as I have right now. So, let's see. Make sure you get all of it out. Yeah, I could probably get a bit more out of that. There we go. Okay. Now, pour the batter in the prepared tin, bacon pre. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure all those chocolate chips are right inside the brownie and try to level it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. I will do with this what I do with everything and tap it a couple of times before it goes in to remove any air. There we go. And then it goes into the oven for 35 minutes. Okay, so I turned the heat on, but I didn't turn the actual oven on. So I'm going to have to wait for that to prepare a bit. But as I gotta wait for that just a moment, I'll make a start on some of the other stuff I've got to do. I'm just going to leave him over the edge by there for a minute. But one of the things I will do is set the timer ready. It'll take about 2 minutes for my oven to heat up. "35 minutes. Sorry about the loud beeping. We'll press that when we need to. We'll get rid of all of the rubbish quickly so I can use the rest of the worktop. And while I wait for the oven to heat up for a little bit, I will clean down the kitchen, ready for the next step. Be back as soon as the oven has reheated. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. We're going to put the brownie in the centre of the oven. I need to put the tray, the one rung down a bit. Somebody's been really good stuff. It's so high. Okay, so it goes to the centre of the oven for 35 minutes. Let's turn the timer on. And we're going to start prepping the rest of it. So giving everything a good clean down now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over some white potatoes and sweet potatoes. So we're going to do a mixture of white potato and sweet potato mash. I then need to get the mixed veg out of the freezer and the piece of beef. Go. So we have country veg medley and a piece of beef. I'm going to have to put the piece of beef in the water to warm just a little bit because I can't get the packaging off, it's frozen solid. So we're going to run a little bit of warm water and put the beef in. Open the sweet potatoes. And get out the pans I'm going to need. Okay. So we're going to do the sweet potatoes. We're going to I think we're going to boil it all together. I don't think sweet potatoes cook at the same time as no, it does 20 to 25 minutes. I should be able to boil them at the same time. We'll see. This one, if they'll go in the little pan. If they're not, then it doesn't matter. We're going to peel the white potatoes first. Sorry. That was the timer for me to put everything back into the put everything in the oven. Okay, so we're going to peel the white potatoes now. Let's put you guys a bit further forwards. Dump them directly into a pan just a second. Make sure to remove any brown bits from the potato. Okay. Ow. That's the white potatoes done. Let's dump the skins into the sink for a minute. And then we will peel the sweet potatoes as well. So you just thought it smelled carrot then, but it does smell like a carrot. They definitely feel harder than white potatoes though. Oh, I must have down my hand. There we go. Okay, and same with these potato skins. Get rid of the potato skins. Just like that. Okay, right, now we cut the sweet potatoes into 3 sections to make them boil quicker. Or 4, depending on how thick a potato is. There we go. So we are going to need to use the other pan for this. That's not a problem. That can go in that pan, and we're going to do the same with the white potatoes. There we go, just like that. And then we're going to fill the potatoes with water. I tend to put warm water in because it can boil quicker. There we go. So that's the white potatoes done. Add a bit of salt to it. We'll do the salt. There's the salt. Same with the sweet potatoes. Add some salt to them as well. Let me turn you very so you can. Ow! Put the tripod on my tongue. Okay. Okay, the pan is too small. I'm going to get another pan up for the veg. Ow! Oh, jam my finger between the tin and the door. But it's fine. Another pan for the veg. So we're going to use the country mixed veg because I bought fresh veg and then I stupidly put it in the freezer. So it's not ready to be used, so we're just going to go with this for now. pour in as much as you want. My kids love the veg, so I'm going to put in 3/4 of a... Yeah, I'm going to put in 3/4 of a bag because my kids love their veg. You know what, I'm going to put the whole pack in. What's not eaten tends to end up giving to the dog anyway. And they will quite literally lick the broccoli off my plate if I don't want to. So there's plenty of broccoli in this pan now. There we go. Pop the lid back on that just for a moment. So that's the potato and the veg sorted. We're going to move this lot over out of the way. So I'm going to prepare some Yorkshire pudding and then I'll get the meat sorted. First of all, I need the meat pan and the... Ow. There we go. Okay, so we need the meat pan out ready for the meat. I'm going to there. And this is my Yorkshire pudding pan. So with this, you have to put a little tiny bit of oil on it, in it. Not too much, I don't like using too much oil. So what I tend to do is put a tiny little bit into each. Just so as it basically coats it so as the Yorkshire puddings don't stick. And this is extra virgin olive oil because I can't use any other oil. Like vegetable oil and sunflower oil makes me ill. But you saw it looked like I put a lot in, but as you can see there's not actually a lot in those trays. I'm going to leave that to the side now. Put that to the side. So we need, what I tend to do is use a little tiny bit of self-raising flour and the plain flour, because plain flour should be used for Yorkshire puddings, but I like to make mine a bit thicker. So you need all-purpose flour or plain flour. Where's that bowl go? I had a bowl just now. There it is. Okay, so a mixing bowl or whatever you've got really. And I never really measure because I tend to do half a bowl of flour. There was virtually no flour left in that packet. Okay. So if I was to say a measurement for this, I'd say probably 2 to 3 cups of flour, or 200 grams roughly. Depends on how thick or how light you want your Yorkshire puddings. So about half a bowl of plain flour, so like that. And I always put like a tiny little sprinkle of self-raising flour, so probably about 2 tablespoons of self-raising flour. This is just my version of Yorkshire pudding. They're not traditional ones, they're my version. And then 3 twists of the sea salt. Okay, then what you need, I do apologise about that little bit of a jump cut there, the battery died. The issue with these new eco batteries for the DSLR cameras is they only record up to an hour. But we finished with putting the salt in. What we need now is close that cabinet, and we need 2 eggs and milk. So let's turn the handle so I can put this here. 2 eggs. Get the eggs out and then go and get the milk. Whoop! Knocked over the bottle of wine for later. Never mind. Okay, so you put the 2 eggs in. 1. 2. Let's pull the egg off the hand. And then you get a whisk. Where did I put my whisk? There it is. Break the eggs into the flour, like into the centre of it. Let me bring you back so you can't see properly. So I'm going to push you down towards the bowl to make it easier. There we go. So you squash the eggs in like this. Then you get milk and add it slowly. So I'd add like a cup at a time until it reaches the consistency you want, but add it slowly because you're going to start mixing the milk through with the flour. And you want a batter consistency. So we're going to mix this a little bit more now. There we go, so that's looking a bit better. It's still too stiff, but I've got to mix it all through first and then add a bit more milk. So add a bit more milk to it. Probably another cup or so. And then carefully mix it together so you don't throw milk everywhere. Once it starts to loosen up, you'll be able to stir it a bit quicker. There we go. And there we go, that's the perfect consistency for the Yorkshire pudding I'm making. So it's runny like this, but not completely liquidized. So runny, but like this. It's got to be this consistency. Okay, what I do now is transfer that into a jug to make it easier to pour into the ramekins once they've heated up. But you put these in just before you take the meat out, because I believe the meat takes like an hour and 20 minutes to cook. I'm just going to get my Yorkshire pudding jug out that I always use and pour the batter into that to make it easier to pour it later on. There we go, in we go, in we go, in we go. There we go. And that is the Yorkshire pudding mix done. So we can set this to the side and wait. Now, let's get everything off the worktop there. Now to prep the meat. And then all we've got to do later on is turn it all on. And I will turn it on to the heats and settings and explain it then. And then show the finished product afterwards. So, let's make a start with the meat now. So, meat tray. Silver foil to line the pan like this. So there we go, it looks like that. Let's bring you guys back again. There we go, so you can see the meat tray. Okay. Then you get hold of your beef. Cut the packaging. Packaging cut. There we go. But do the packaging over the sink in case you end up with any blood from the beef come out. You don't want it all over the worktop or everything else. And then we pop it straight into the meat tray. So my hands from the raw meat. Make sure that it's flat in the tray like that. And then we get a little bit of oil. You only need a tiny bit of oil. We're going to drizzle it over the top of the meat like that. And then we cover it in salt, because this is going to be salt roast beef. Put as much or as little salt as you like. With my beef I like to have the top of it salted like that, because I always take the very top off and then cut the meat. Oh, what am I doing that? Right, that like that. And that is the meat prepped. So I will put the meat to the side here for now until the brownie comes out of the oven, which will be in 12 minutes. So I guess I will be back in 12 minutes time. See you in a... Okay, the time has gone off for the brownie. Just bring you guys forward, sorry about the bumpy bumps. Let's poke it down towards the oven. And we're going to take him out. And there we go. That's how he looks right now. It smells lovely. There we go. You can see the mint has come to the top. So we're going to put it over on the cooling rack in front of the window and allow that to cool. And then we're going to put the meat in, because the meat is going to take at least an hour and 20 minutes. And while that cooks, we've got the lids on the pans to keep everything fresh. Actually, let's take that ring back down a bit, because that is quite a big chunky piece of beef. And we'll set the timer for an hour and 20 minutes. That's 80 minutes. Okay. Okay. Just put it on for 80 minutes. This is going to take a while. So sorry. We're on 70, 80 minutes. And set. So, that's the brownie. That's the Yorkshire pudding mix made, ready. The veggies put in. The veggies prepped. The potatoes, 2 lots of potatoes. But once everything is cooked, I will then get on with all the mash and everything. So we'll do that. So we'll be back in an hour and 20 minutes. That's when we'll check the beef to see it's cooked. If it's not, we'll go back in and we'll just go from there. See you in an hour and 20. Okay, so the timer for the meat has just gone off. So we're going to check to see if it's cooked through. And if it is, we will make a start on everything else then. Hold on a second. Right, let's open this. Ooh. Steamy. Well, it definitely looks like it's cooked. Let me put this to the side just a second. And adjust the tray, because we're going to put the Yorkshire pudding pan in so the oil can heat up. Right, so we need to find out if the meat is cooked by cutting some of it open and see if it's cooked right through. So remove it from the pan carefully and put it on a tray or on a chopping board or a chopping sheet. And let's see if this is cooked through. We're just going to slice into it and have a look inside. There's still blood coming out of that, so what I'm going to say is probably best to turn it over and cook it on the other side now. Yeah, no, it definitely needs to be cooked the other side. Probably maybe another 20 minutes. So I'll put that back in a second. Ow. bit my finger. Okay. So we're going to turn it over and cook it on the other side for probably an extra 20 minutes. But what we're going to do first now is also turn on the potatoes. The potatoes take between 25 and 30 minutes to cook. So turn both lots of potatoes on. So we'll probably put that back in for another 30 minutes and then hopefully that will finish together. And we also need to pour the... Yep, there we are. So the oil has started to... bubble in the little Yorkshire pudding pan. So I'm going to pull that out and add the Yorkshire pudding mix to it. Carefully, because it's very hot. Okay, we're going to give this another stir. Just make sure it's nicely mixed together. And pour it in until it fills to the top, or about 3/4 of the way, sorry. Uh-oh. Okay, this is a bit hard to do. If I move you back a bit, you should be able to see what I'm doing. Yeah, that'll be a bit better. And the last one, like that. And then just slide it into the oven. And they go in for about 25 to 30 minutes as well. We're going to put the beef back in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn the beef from that side, like that. And then turn them around so that you got the direct heat on both lots. Just like that. And close it up. Put the timer on for 30 minutes. And we'll be back in 30 minutes to check on the potatoes and the meat and the Yorkies. See you in 30 minutes. Okay, so the timer on the meat and the Yorkies has gone off. So just point you down to the oven. So I get the Yorkies up first. There we go, and they should look like that. You may pop it somewhere to cool for a minute. Then we get the beef out. There we go. Okay, so I can now turn the oven off. Oh, potatoes are boiling over a little bit, but they'll be fine. Alright, I can get the fork straight through that beef, which means that beef is cooked nicely out. But my arm. Bring it up a bit so you can see the beef. There we go, so that's the piece of beef on the chopping board. Cut through the netting that's on the meat. Careful not to burn yourself. And remove the netting. Excuse me, need me towel to dry my hands. And then we are going to cut the beef into small. There we go, and it'll look like that. Nice and cooked. So we're now going to chop the beef up into nice little strips of beef. Do thinner bits for the children and thicker bits for the adults. It's best to cut it while it's hot so that the knife goes through a bit smoother. Whoop. Like this. Yep. Okay, that bit fell over. I've got to try and get it to stand up so as I cut it. There we go. Good. There we go. Nicely cut. That last piece has got a bit of hard fat on the end. So I'm going to cut that bit of fat off the end and that should be given to the doggy. Leave like that, that'll be given to the doggy. There we go. So we get a plate now and plate that up onto a separate plate. And set to the side for later. Okay, so we now need to move this out of the way. Put it over there a minute, because I can remove that hot pan and bring over the gravy pan then to start making the gravy. We're going to turn the fan on because it's getting a bit steamy in this kitchen. There we go. So we need to put some flour into the saucepan. I say probably about 2 cups of flour. 3 oxos. Probably about a teaspoon. Okay. Then we leave that to the side. So what we need for this then will be, I will actually use a little bit of hot kettle water to turn the flour and the oxos and everything into a nice little bit of paste ready for the vegetable water once the vegetables are cooked. You put the water in and you just mix it through with some of the flour, turn it into a paste. Touch more water in there. Real touch of water. Combine all of the flour in like this, so it makes a paste like that. set it to the side. Check the potatoes are boiled by, if a fork goes in and comes out clean, which it did on there, those ones perfect. There's a couple of still hard ones on there, but the sweet potatoes are cooked, so we're going to swap the sweet potatoes around with the veggies. Wipe the condensation off the pot, otherwise it'll just crackle when I put it on the heat. Swap them around so we get the veggies on there, and then boil the veggies for probably 12 to 14 minutes. Be back in 14 minutes. Okay, so the potatoes are finally finished boiling. They're nice and soft now. Let's move that over there a minute. So I can at least prep that, but the veg is still quite hard. It's going to have to stay on a little bit longer. But you can do the potatoes. Keep those ones there. Let's do these ones first. So what my plan is to use the sweet potato water in the gravy. So I'm going to bring the sweet potato gravy over. Get my strainer out. And strain the water from the sweet potatoes straight into the gravy. And put those back over there. I'll put that in the sink in a second. And then we can start mixing the water from the potatoes into the gravy. I have no heat on it right now because I'm just mixing the water and the gravy, the flour and the oxos and the salt together. That's the original time of the veg, but it is nowhere near boiling yet. So I'm just going to put it back on for a bit. 8 minutes maybe. Okay. Right, we're going to leave that to the side there now. And with the sweet potatoes, because we're going to mix the two together, I'm going to mash the sweet potatoes just as they are without any butter or anything. Because I'm going to add the sweet potatoes into the normal white potatoes. So mash it like that so it's all nicely mashed. Again, making sure you get every single spud. Then we leave it to the side. And then there, and we get the white potatoes. We're going to pour some of the white potato water into the gravy as well. Not a lot of it, just a little bit. That should be okay. Right. Then we drain the water into the sink. Then put the potatoes back into the pan. And we're going to mash some butter in with these potatoes now. So these are the normal potatoes. We're going to mash the normal potatoes, which are obviously harder than sweet potatoes. Oh, try not to lose any out of the pan. Right, once we got them all mashed, leave that to the side, get hold of your butter, put in maybe 3 tablespoons of butter, like this, carefully mash that into the potatoes. To make them nice and creamy. Once they've been mashed in, get the masher out and swap the masher with a spoon. I'm using my wooden spoon so we can gather all of the potato together with the butter like this. I'm going to turn that off now, it's not steamy anymore. Okay. Now we add a tiny bit of salt at this point. Right. Mix it through. Get a bit of extra light in the situation. There we go. And then we take the sweet mash and we mix the white potatoes with the sweet mash. Oh, I'm making a bit of a mess here, I've dropped some of it on the worktop. There we go. Put that over there and then mix the normal mash and the sweet mash together. Oops. Ow, 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 ow. Bit my thumb. Give it a good mix as it all combines together. And it'll look like this little pale orange colour. If you can see the colour. It's a bit hard to see in this light. That pale orange colour. Okay. And we set this to the side now until everything else is done. Leave it there for just a second. Now we're going to go back to the gravy pot and mix through the water we just put on in there. There we go, that's mixed through. What we've got to do now is literally wait for these veggies. And we've still got 5 or 6 minutes on the timer. So we'll be back once the veggies have cooked. Okay, that's the timer for the veggies, which have only just started to boil. But they are boiling. So we're going to re-stir. Oh, sorry, I turned you away from where you were supposed to be looking. There we go. Okay, so we're going to re-stir the gravy now. Turn the ring on the back on and pop the gravy on and let it heat up. I'll leave the veggies there for a little bit longer. Move that off there. So we have the Yorkshire puddings ready, the meat, the mashed potato, got the gravy on the back now. Just going to let that heat up and thicken up. But while we do that, I'm going to move you guys over here because I'm going to cut up the brownie ready for dessert. There we go. So we get to finally take the brownie out of this pan. remove it from its paper. You can see the edge of the brownie then. Yeah, oh, look at that. Looks nice. Okay. Take it out, put it directly on the rack. And throw the paper away. Swirl my hands. Whoop, nearly fell over. Swirl my hands. Down the pan. Now we're going to get the chopping board. Put the brownie on the chopping board. There we go. And we're going to cut it into nice big sizes. So we can take a look at the inside of the brownie. Ooh, nice. So we need 4 pieces. I think I should be able to get 6 nice big pieces out of this. We'll keep some for the girls for tomorrow and use some for tonight. Then we're going to leave that to the side, ready for later. Clean the worktop down. There we go, the gravy's starting to bubble. Just turn it back to the gravy pan. And it's starting to thicken up a bit. Put it back on the heat for a bit. Keep stirring so it doesn't stick. And the gravy's looking nice and thick now. Like that. Okay, get a little spoon to make sure it's not too salty or anything. Take a little bit out. It's okay. Spoon in the sink, ready for it a bit. Now we drain the veggies off. Drain the veggies nicely. Make sure to get all the water out of them. Transfer them back to the pan until we serve them up. And turn all of the rings off. I'm going to add those back up there, but I'm going to try. Oh, sorry, I hit the camera with my shoulder. Okay, that's the best I can do for now. So now it's time to start serving up. So let's move you back a minute. Let's get the children's plates and right, let's get all the plates down. We'll serve up the children's one first. Ah, I just dropped a sock in my pocket. Never mind. Okay, mashed potato and veggies. So let's put a nice amount of mash on the children's plates. Yeah, I think a little bit more. If they don't eat it, can always go to the dog. Not a problem. Veggies, because my two absolutely love their veggies, so we're going to put lots of veggies on for them. There we go. Oh, one's got more veggies than the other, that will cause an argument, so let's put a few more veggies on this one. There we go. Yorkshire pudding, one side, on either plate, and a little bit of beef each, which I hid in the microwave to keep it safe. What I tend to do with the beef for the girls is to tear it up small so they don't have any trouble with it. Where's the other thin piece go? There it is. There we go. And the same for the other one. Oh, there it is. Just tear it up into small bits. I don't give the other one as much meat as I give. I don't give the older one as much meat as I give the little one, because the older one's not a massive meat lover. She's more vegetables than she is meat. But as long as they eat, I don't care what they eat. Right, let's get another piece. Where's the other thinner piece? There it is. There we go. Okay, towel my hands off. And that's one of the children's servings. I'm going to leave that to the side before I put the gravy on them. And then I'm going to dish up another one. So dish up Dave's one. There we go. Shadow's barking at nothing again. He likes to do that. Yorkshire pudding. And I think 3 pieces of beef. Like that. And that is the start of the meal. And with the brownie we're going to be having clotted cream. I'll take photographs of it all when it's all finished. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Good night.